Welcome to the Coffee Talk Podcast. This is intended for informational purposes only and not to be used as a primary basis for investment decisions. Consult your financial professional before making investment decisions. Shannon Ross is a registered representative and MBA of Lighthouse Financial. Lighthouse Financial offers securities and advisory services through Cambridge Investment Research Advisories Incorporated, member FINRA and SIPC. Shannon is CEO and managing financial partner of Lighthouse Financial. Cambridge and Lighthouse Financial are not affiliated. And now, here's your host, Shannon Ross.
Well, happy Thursday, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Coffee Talk.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Happy Thursday. This is your celebratory
Thursday.
day.
I love
Thursdays. If you didn't listen to the show last week, listen to it because you'll find out this is Shannon's.
Find out the why
Yeah.
and how many years it's been my favorite day of the week.
Yeah.
So I'm always in a good mood on Thursdays, which is why I honestly put the show recording on Thursday mornings.
Is that why you did that?
Because I really felt the importance of the
Of Thursdays.
I now I'm trying to use funny words that you don't know. So I want a good juju on Thursday mornings.
I know
when we record.
juju.
I know, because at least Texas and Louisiana are close enough where.
So did you, when you were trying to select the day, did you make a list of all 7 days?
I did
because
not.
you like lists so much, and
I
then
know.
eeny,
You
meeny,
would
miny.
think that.
Yeah, I actually
But
would.
I didn't.
Okay.
I just went with my gut. So
Well, happy Thursday to you.
happy Thursday.
We have a guest with us today.
We do.
We do.
Who's our guest? A new prop. So
Your
appropriate.
listeners can't hear this. Can't hear this. Listeners can't hear this. Listeners can't see this. But this is Flip the donkey.
It's a little miniature donkey figure.
Yes, it is. Yeah, I don't actually have a
Cute.
miniature donkey in here, but this is Flip. He came
cute.
to
We
hang
can
out
put
with
him
us
right there
today.
on top of
Yeah.
the books.
My son years ago went. It was, I don't know, it was my birthday or something, and. For those of you that don't know, if you've not seen our website or anything, I'm obsessed with donkeys.
Yep.
Obsessed.
And miniatures
more so,
yes.
but donkeys in general,
Yeah.
I will stop on the side of the road to see donkeys if they're there. And one year he went to Target or Walmart, one of those bins, and that was my birthday present.
And he fished it out.
He fished it out,
That's
and
so
I have.
sweet.
It's usually in my office.
Yeah.
I brought it from the office to the podcast today.
I like it.
Yes, so that's Flip.
Oh,
That's his name.
Good morning, Flip.
Yes.
Welcome to the show. We have to have more guests. That's what we're starting
Well, I
with
thought.
today.
I thought, why not?
And you have a happy beanie on today. We were talking last week about how your hats dictate your mood.
Yeah.
Or they represent your mood.
That's
more
true.
so than dictate.
Yes.
And you even, which I think I'm most impressive with, and hopefully
What?
on camera you can see this,
What?
I think you've coordinated your eye makeup colors with the hat colors.
Really?
Yes. Which is you could be a cosmetologist. We all know this.
That
but
was not.
it's really coordinated very
my
well.
hat is
So,
black,
Good job.
and my
I know, but
eyeshadow
in
is
the
not.
Coal emblem.
Oh, really?
So,
okay.
mhm.
Well, I can't even remember what colors are in the emblem, so I'll. But
You can look after the show.
I do. I am in a good mood today. I'm very.
Good.
I do like
We
Thursday.
need good moods. It's been a couple
last
weeks.
Thursday
so-
was hard,
yeah.
difficult, but you are the only one. Do you know what Cole is? Have you ever heard of Cole the brand? God, what is Kelly? What is wrong with neither
Well, at
of
least
Matt?
it's not me.
I know.
Last week,
Well,
no
once
one
again,
knew what I
so-
was talking about.
I don't. It's,
I don't know
anyways.
what Cole is either,
But I have
I'm
to-
sure it's cool.
Well, I have to start major beanie shopping because this morning, as I was trying to pick out my beanie,
I like your goal, new beanie every
I know.
show.
So I have to shop for more because as I was digging through today, I was like, I need some new beanies.
It's not camera worthy, maybe. A couple are, but you have to kind of restock.
Well, that's yes. Some of them are too old. Yeah,
Mhm.
but okay. So
Well,
do
I'm
you have
excited to see you in a beanie and not a trucker hat. Just because trucker hats typically are number one harder for lighting, but number two, they represent more of a.
I like covering
downer
my
mood.
face sometimes. Kelly's like, there's a massive shadow on your face, on your big old hat. Do you have any sanity spins?
I almost have one. So I will share where I'm hoping to make one in the next 24 hours. So my anniversary is coming up. And so my husband and I are trying to make a sanity spin and to spend some time without the kiddos. We have 4 kids, which is crazy, which I love. I'm glad I have 4 children, but it does cause for quite a bit of
You live on the sports
busyness.
fields. Yes.
I work about 50 hours a week, and then I spend about 25 hours a week on sport fields. So
Yeah.
it's been a very busy
It's a
fall.
lot, yeah.
And so we're just looking to sleep and eat and just have fun. So we can't agree on a destination yet, but I'm hoping we will by the time, we're on the show next week and I can share more about that. So
I think
I'm
you
almost ready to have a sanity spin.
I think you should go somewhere warm.
Yeah. He wants to go north. I want to go south. Like we created a list.
No way.
Of our hotels, and we are stark opposite. Like his 1, 2, 3, 4 is my 4, 3, 2, 1. So
which is so
we're
strange
far
to
apart.
me. He loves hot
What
and
we wanna
humid,
do.
or hot at least.
Well, yeah. And so, and
Yeah.
that's, I always go towards the
Yeah.
warmer destination.
Yeah.
However, even if it's just 10 degrees, and he likes close and convenience. And so
Yeah.
that's where we're kind of having.
Well, I'm jealous because at least you get to
Yeah.
go somewhere.
Yeah, thanks. How about you?
Hopefully you'll get to go. We still haven't done our bestie trip
I know.
2021. So we're going to need to plan that.
We do.
Yeah. I almost have a sanity spend. I mean, I do. I'm going to see a girlfriend of mine on Saturday. I meet her
Fun.
up in Denver.
That's always
Yeah,
fun.
we try to
Girls'
get
night out.
together. Well, let's not go night. I'm too. That's no. Let's
A
not go
girl's
night.
early special
Seriously,
out.
you know you're getting old. I'm like, ooh, dinner, 6:00 dinner. I don't think so. Like that's like then 8:00. And, no. Plus, I have an Alabama game at 5. My team lost
Which
last weekend.
They did, and we were fortunate.
I'm
to have
never
you all
watching it at your house ever again. I'm not superstitious, but I will not watch it at your house. I should have left at halftime, and the whole game would have been different. I wasn't. Whatever. Let's just move on.
I know.
It's
okay.
It was a rough Saturday night.
Yeah.
But this Saturday's gonna be better. But that said, I have to really be dialed in.
But you beat me in fantasy football.
Yes, I did.
So at least you had one win.
Totally did.
Ugh.
Yes. Oh, and the Cowboys won.
There you go. There you go. Well,
Yeah.
today's show we're going to talk about, and I'm glad it's a happier week for you because we're going to actually spend a lot of
Happiness.
time there today.
Yeah.
Today's show is entitled The Secret of Happiness, according to EQ. So we're wrapping up emotional intelligence today. We've been here for several weeks.
Yeah.
So if you want to know what emotional intelligence is all about and the 5 categories that make up of emotional intelligence, listen to the previous shows because you'll actually get some really good information. But we're wrapping it up with, and it takes a component out of 4 different quadrants, 4 different skill sets within EQ today. And they've studied, and obviously a lot of statistical importance on what really are the emotional indicators that will show if you are happy or not. So I think it's interesting that they took the time to really put research behind the secret of happiness based on their research, based on their definition of emotional intelligence. So we'll quantify it that way. But they use, 4 different components. And how they kind of define happiness, I think, is interesting because sometimes I think people don't even try. They're like, what's happiness? It's like, what's the meaning of life? It's one of those topics that is a little different for everyone.
Well, it feels
I get
elusive
that.
to
It
some.
definitely does.
Yes.
And so how they define it, I think it's important to start with is the feelings of satisfaction, contentment, and the ability to enjoy the many aspects of one's life.
Okay.
Which, that certainly resonates. I mean, I wouldn't,
Sure.
I would say, yeah, that sounds like happiness to me. And that emotional intelligence, the abilities you have in emotional intelligence, both contributes to and is a product of your emotional intelligence. So as we've said before, as you continue to improve on emotional intelligence, you can become more happy. You can have better, stronger well-being in your spirit, soul, and body. So what I do like about this whole thing is it breaks things down. It doesn't stay subjective. It doesn't stay 10,000 foot. Just kind of,
No, it gets up in your business. It gets in the nitty gritty.
granular.
I don't agree with.
I know. Well, we think you might have taken your assessment on a hard week.
Is that another new word for you?
No.
We're gonna put that one in there.
I know. that could be in the Shannon.
Well, I'm gonna sell myself out here for just a quick second.
Okay.
April. Your result in happiness suggests that you may find it difficult to show enthusiasm and cheerfulness towards life in general. Excuse me. No, I'm happy. I'm happy and cheerful. I don't agree with this one.
Well, but it also says
she didn't want me to tell anybody that.
Your results in happiness is an indicator of your emotional health and well-being. And I think what this did point out to you is some areas that you wanted to become more confident in, more true to who you want to,
Yes.
I mean, there were
to
some
back that
areas.
up, because I'm not selling out EQ entirely.
Yeah.
I love, this is actually my favorite assessment. I've said that before. What I will say is this is the only one where I read it and I was like, Yeah, maybe I was in a bad mood the day that I took this, that I took in it. But
Don't took in it on a bad day, people.
don't took in the EQ on a bad day. And if you always have a bad day, then just take it. But I will say all of the composites instead of this one, were spot on.
Yeah.
So this was the only one where I was kind of surprised when I read it. And I don't think in any way, because even your husband has said, you should be honest. If something doesn't resonate, you should say, hey, this doesn't quite resonate. Mm-hmm. So this was the only one that didn't quite resonate. I mean, I'm not saying I'm bouncing off the walls with rainbows all the time. I wonder when we break it down in the subcomponents.
So there's 4 things, according to this genre, 4 things that contribute to your happiness.
These 4 things feed into that.
Yes, correct. Okay. So it's your self-regard. Mm-hmm. So your self-regard is your what you think of yourself. Your self-respect, your self-confidence, how, do you like yourself? Do you feel like you have value to add to the world? Those kind of things. Next is interpersonal relationships. So how well developed are your relationships? How likely are you to spend time with people that you love and you want to maintain? And how mutually beneficial are your relationships? Mm-hmm. Optimism. We talked about optimism last week. How optimistic and positive are you on your life conditions? How do you use those during kind of adverse situations? Yep. And then the 4th one is self-actualization. How is your life measuring up to your hopes and dreams and goals? Right. And so those are really the 4 components. And, again, they have so much research to back this up that I like, at least they take a stab at it. Yeah, for sure. And they give practical, what I also love is they give practical tips. Strategies. Practical if you steps, are low, if you are below the standard deviation of those that self-proclaim that they are happy, if you're lower than that statistically, they give you very practical things. Yeah, there's like an area. What are some things you can do? Yeah, like strategies for action. Areas. I liked that was my favorite area on several of these. Yes. Because sometimes when maybe you're measuring low in a certain area and it's, well, then now what? Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like there's some assessments I've taken, I shouldn't say assessments, or things that I've read about where something is identified about you that may be not a flaw, with a weakness, or maybe something that you can improve on, and yet there's no real help on how to make that better. And so that is what I liked about EQ so much, were the strategies for action piece on that. Yeah. And 2 of these, self-regard and self-actualization, are from the same category, which I thought was interesting. And our trainer has often said this is the most important part of emotional intelligence is your self-perception. Yeah. If your self-perception is low, most all of the other categories are going to be negatively impacted for that. Mm-hmm. Hence, your happiness will too. Sure. Where if you are low in how you respect yourself, and low in the pursuit of meaning and your self-improvement and your dreams coming to pass, if you're low in those areas, you're not going to test as if you are loving life and it couldn't be better, and it's and you're feeling very positive about things. Well, and what else I just thought of as when we were going over stress tolerance, under this happiness component. Some of the, like, for example, one of these says withdraw from social situations, friends, and colleagues. And that was an area on my stress tolerance piece. That you tend to do. That I tend to do. Like, I withdraw in. I'm the turtle, remember? So stop doing that, hence you might be more happy. Which that's interesting that's a bullet point. Now, that's not necessarily one of the composites here. Well, and we were talking about a soundboard. So what I love about this show and why we're ending it up this way is this really helps us at least pick one category, happiness. And it's 11:11, by the way, so you have to make a wish. Like, 11:11 is a very important number in my life, and it's 11:11 on the clock. And you're not superstitious at all. That's so funny. So, make a wish, everybody. Yeah. You're welcome. That was random. Okay, I like that. But I like that the soundboard that we're using, because we're going to talk about almost every composite, every part of the 5 categories on today's show in the topic of happiness. And I love that you brought stress tolerance up. That was from last week's show. So if you don't know what stress tolerance is, please go back and listen to the show. But what I spent a couple minutes just talking about a book I was reading about how to increase your stress tolerance, and I remembered to bring it. I'm so happy. It's called Can't Hurt Me. Oh. I mean, it's intense. This guy does not look like, someone but he is intense. Yeah. And it's mastering your mind to defy the odds. And it's all about overcoming and what he had to overcome. And he comes from a very abusive childhood, just down on your luck, down on your, there's not much that doesn't happen to this.
Lots of
this
challenges.
Human.
Yeah.
David Goggins is his name. And this was a New York bestseller, New York Times bestseller. It's very
Add it to my
powerful.
list.
It's intense. Like I said on last show, a lot of
Colorful language.
fluffy language, as we call it. There's a lot of fluffy words.
I'm sure there's a lot of fluff in that.
About every fifth word is a fluff.
Yep.
But so if but
if that offends you, don't read
communicate,
it. Yeah.
and just great endorsements across the board of different people we've all heard of.
Are you gonna loan that to
So-
me when you're done?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm about
Thanks.
halfway done. And we'll post it on our website as well.
Very cool.
So I just wanted to make sure I mentioned it because it gives very good
Yeah.
practical things. And his whole concept was you have to do what makes you uncomfortable. For him, I'll give just one example because you wouldn't think a guy that looks like this and who's a Navy SEAL would be scared of swimming. Like being scared in the water was one of his main things
How can
that he had to overcome because as a child, he didn't know how to swim. He never spent time in a pool.
Don't you have to know how to swim to be a Navy SEAL?
Well, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
not just swim. Like they honestly, the fact that Navy SEALs exist and don't drown in their training
Sure.
is phenomenal. So it's not that he just had to get comfortable in the water.
Wow.
He had to learn just how to live in extreme conditions in the water. So it's just so
Wow.
interesting and gives, pretty practical, tough, honest ideas on how to increase that stress tolerance.
Well, he had to really rally his chutzpah.
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 Chutzpah,
I
which
said
is
that to
another word
I
from
said
last
that to
week.
my son this week.
Did he
I
know
said-
what it was?
He
No.
was no, and I don't even think he heard me. He's 15. He was
like,
listening.
whatever, Mom.
He was slacking on homework. I'm like, hey, rally your chutzpah. He's like, I'm like, it's a Yiddish word. Anyways, okay.
I was going to use another Yiddish word today.
Oh.
If it comes up, we'll see.
Okay, make sure it comes up because I
Okay.
want another
I
word.
don't know why
All right.
I know some. I don't even know.
Do you know what
I
keeps
have no
going through
idea.
my head?
What?
The song Happy. Do you remember that song?
Oh,
But
yes.
This morning as
Love
I was
that
looking through this,
song.
that like, so Kelly,
Yeah.
if you see me like bouncing a little bit, it's just because the song is in my head. And
Well, and I think what's encouraging to me also, if we look at these 4 components that make up happiness, it has nothing to do with our stress management or decision making, which means,
yeah.
and I think this is attributes to you can live above your circumstances, not in a ignorant is bliss kind of way where
Sure, not
you are
denial.
avoiding reality,
right.
but in a way where no matter what is happening or no matter what decision that is in front of you that might be overwhelming or intimidating, you can still pursue your happiness because it's not based on that. It's based on your relationships. It's based on your positive, hopeful approach for the future.
Right. How
It's
you see
based
yourself.
on not letting those things,
Yeah.
those stressors, take away from your destiny, your dreams, your goals, to outlast them
Yeah.
per last show. And they don't have to penetrate your self-regard, kind of your self-worth.
Yeah.
Self-worth is one of those things that, my counseling background, a lot of patients I see, we can't really get very far until we deal with their self-worth. And if you come from, a traumatic childhood or an abusive childhood or just some challenges that hit you early on, your self-worth is pretty low coming into adulthood. And until you address the why, and until you address and let go and forgive and move on to become the adult version of yourself, you're not going to get very far. And you're not going to get very far in happiness either.
Well, happiness, and I like how it says it here, it is a byproduct of believing in yourself and ultimately how you're living according to your own values, your own moral system, your own convictions and beliefs.
Yeah.
It is directly linked to that. I could see I know all of these. Well, I guess I was going to say I could see how self-regard and interpersonal relationships would play the most part into happiness, but then of course optimism would too. I mean, all of these are so important.
Absolutely. And I love that they give us certain questions. So I'm going to ask you a couple questions.
Oh, I have questions for you too.
And I want the listeners to answer these questions as well, because I think they'll help, again, indicate where your self-regard is and what some things you can work on in terms of how to increase in these 4 components, which then overall increases that happiness in your life and how you're just allowing life, you're living above the waves, living above the circumstances, which are clearly not ideal in anyone's life all the time. And so,
yours isn't unicorns and rainbows every day?
no.
Okay,
I was
just
going to
checking.
say maybe when I sleep, but that's not even true then. So, no. But and obviously we're all walking through different things. I'm happier now than I've ever been. I can say that. When I was going through the sludge of life, and I had pretty much a full decade or two there.
Yeah.
Where it wasn't just, mediocre. It was awful. I had to still find joy. I couldn't live without joy for 10 years.
Right.
I couldn't live without some of these things still rising to the surface.
Sure.
So, which makes me believe in their research of it's not just about what's happening to you.
Right.
You can become, and this is kind of his approach. I go about it a little bit differently, but like the can't hurt me. Like no matter what you throw at me, you cannot affect me.
Mm-hmm.
I admire that. Like if we can get to a place where we are living out of our whole self and we are unswayable, we're impenetrable and not in an apathetic, hard way.
Sure.
You can become impenetrable, but
you don't want to be callous.
Yes,
Yeah.
but you're going to be numb.
Yeah.
You're going to be numb to the joy because you're also wanting to be numb to the pain.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm talking about being fireproof but being true to who you are.
Yeah.
Where you can bump into a person who's just trying to take you out and they don't take you out. Yeah. You can outlast those challenging situations or people.
And I like, especially with the self-regard piece, I think if you've been through something, maybe you're broken by someone's words, you're wounded by a relationship, or life has happened to you in such a way that it wasn't your fault. It did happen to you. And I heard it said this weekend by someone that I listen to and trust very much, and he was communicating to an audience, hey, just so you know, you aren't what happened to you.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to identify yourself and live in a place by what someone else did to you. And so much of self-regard after you've been wounded and broken by
especially
somebody,
those closest to you,
when your worth and your value, because it's if they don't see me worth this, then I must not be that.
And it leads to self-hatred.
And it leads to self-loathing and self-hatred. And I love that he said that was you aren't what happened to you. You don't have to stay in that place. And that makes me think of self-regard and how much our happiness is impacted by believing a lie.
Oh,
that we
absolutely.
aren't worth something and we don't have value because of what somebody has done to us.
That's right. And I also think it's on the other side of self-regard, people, trying to compensate or make up their self-worth in their material things. So I liked one of the questions that they posed.
Oh yeah, what are our questions?
Aside from material things, what is it about you that makes you truly happy? So I think it's important to spend time there.
Donkeys.
And as an audience,
Donkeys.
Like donkeys, like animals was on my list. Oh, I guess it is material. So, not material. So how I spend time is one of those things. Spending time with my family, spending time outside. I thought you were asking me a question, and I was asking you a question. Well,
you threw me off.
Do that.
You know how I like.
What would you pick? What would you say makes you truly happy? That's not material. So we can't pick donkeys and goats. What would it be?
It can't be donkeys and goats. It can't be. I hate on the spot questions. I mean,
you said ask me a question. I did.
I love spending time with my family.
Yeah.
My son. I love that.
Yeah.
That makes me truly happy. Reading. Oh God, that's material. This question's too
well,
hard.
reading's not material.
Reading
a book. How spending time.
I love to read
books. Don't make you happy. Reading them.
Reading makes me happy.
It's a little different.
I love. You know what I've found is reading really helps with my anxiety. I have like 3 books I'm reading right now. 3 different books. Reading helps my anxiety. TV's off.
That's
so
awesome.
that. Okay. What about you?
Actually, I'm working on your Christmas gift, so it actually makes me smile because it has to.
But we don't have our bestie trip yet. Is it my magnet?
No.
Oh, you're making me something else?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yay.
So
I still want my magnet, though.
Okay. I make her a magnet every year of
from our
photos
trip.
From our trip.
Which is why we have to do a trip.
Yes,
okay, wait. True. Are you going to answer that question?
I think I did before you gave me a hard time about not asking it to you. But that's
sorry.
Okay. So similar to how I spend time. You so good. We're on the right track.
Yeah, we're
on the right track.
Okay.
Okay. So let's go to optimism for a second.
Okay.
What thoughts help you remain optimistic during more difficult times? So again, these questions are kind of baited questions to make you more optimistic in difficult times. So, to capture what thoughts make you happy. We thought last week, if you didn't listen to the show, we were talking about how goats, like baby goats now, they're everywhere on the internet in terms of these hilarious pictures. So I keep sending them to you. Are they not like the cutest?
Like you can't watch this little bouncing baby goat run out of its
and
house
and
not
how
smile.
They bounce because they bounce like erratically in like weird ways.
Like their body contorts in all these weird ways. days. I know, like their
so
back end and
awesome.
their front end. Oh, they're so
So-
cute. I saw some again this week, and I thought of you because they're
I
so.
know.
We have to get some.
I know. Well, that's on more your side than mine.
I know. Well, I tried to get my friend's goats that I told you about, and David was. It was a hard.
Hard no.
Listen, soon I'm gonna have little pigs, little goats.
You have the most beautiful barn and no
and
animals.
land
I
and no
know.
animals. Isn't that? Maybe I should just do it when he's
Oh,
out of
because
town.
that'll go well. Yeah.
He's expecting to come home because I was like, I'm getting a bunny this week. I'm buying a bunny.
So thoughts.
okay.
What thoughts?
What thoughts
you?
help me remain optimistic in difficult times? Thoughts. Oof. Listen, I killed it on optimism, so I don't even know why this question's for. Honestly, one thing a thought that always helps me if I'm going through a difficult time is, and because my faith plays a role into this, into what I believe, I always think in 10,000 years from now, will this matter? In 1,000 years from now, will this matter? Because
Man, I'm like, in 2 weeks, will this matter? Like, I like it. That's big.
Well, I mean, you said difficult. I mean,
Yeah.
so I'm thinking of like my worst circumstances
Sure.
I've ever been through, and they didn't
Sure.
resolve in 2 weeks or even at 2 years.
Yeah.
And so for me, because of the way I believe, and
Because you have an eternal perspective.
because I have an
That's
eternal
what that's
perspective.
called. Yeah.
This is, and it doesn't lessen that it's really, really bad.
Mm-hmm.
But when I picture that in 1,000 years from now, will this even matter?
Mm-hmm.
And that helps me reframe my perspective.
Mm-hmm.
If sometimes that's just what helped me get out of bed in the morning
Sure.
on certain days, just
Sure.
besides the fact that I had a son, family to take care of, but just 1,000 years, this won't matter.
Yeah. Like a heavenly perspective.
And I know
You
that
believe
my
in
1,000
heaven
years
and-
from
yeah.
now, I'll be
Yeah.
just as real as I am now,
Mhm.
based on what I believe, and that will
Sure.
be a place where whatever I'm going through right now won't even
Yeah.
exist in that place.
Yeah.
So,
You won't even remember what hat she wore 10,000 years from now.
well, there will be no Fenway hats.
That is
because
true. You
Fenway,
can burn those.
the Fenway
We'll be burning
hat
those at your funeral.
is my. Did she just bring up my funeral?
Well, you told me that I have
today.
to. You told me that I have to outlive you. Do you remember this?
Yeah, well, you're going to be
Yes, I remember
105 and
this.
I'm going to be 104.
That's right.
Yeah.
There was a lady out of Louisiana, I think it was, that just celebrated her 110th birthday this week.
Look at her.
I know.
Okay.
It was.
But you're not going to live that. Well, I won't be alive that long, so that's on you. Okay, what's next?
Okay, here's another
I have one for you.
Okay.
Well,
on which category?
Interpersonal
Oh, good,
relationships.
because I was going there next.
Oh, well, see,
Perfect.
look at that. All right. So on interpersonal relationships, what are the most desirable attributes of the people you spend time with?
Number one for
Person
me,
you do a podcast
I
with.
think the top two things for me, and I think these are unconventional. I think they're a little different than most people would say.
Okay.
I want to hang out with people who are funny and who are like spicy, who are a little adventurous. And that's honestly, you fit both those categories, which is why you're my best friend. And which is why we are nothing alike
No, not at
personality-wise.
all.
But you possess the two biggest things I want in interpersonal relationships. Like, I have a lot of relationships with people who aren't funny and who aren't fun or adventurous.
I hope
But
they're not listening.
I mean, think about people that you're, not everyone you cross paths with are of that. So,
Well,
these people.
so you heard it, audience. I'm spicy and funny.
Spicy and fun.
Spicy and-
Yep. Spicy and funny.
Yeah.
I really appreciate those. How about you? What are some things that you like in people that you spend time with?
So blondes. I really enjoy hanging out with blonde people. Just kidding. No, so desirable. So I love being around people who, that are so motivated and driven. Yes, I'm pretty much talking about you, but I really do love this. People that are ambitious and excited about life, because we've talked about this on the show. Like I love to be around that because I can tend to have a bent towards less motivation or maybe just, listen, I'm a homebody.
Comfort.
I'm adventurous, but I could be
I
can be very comfortable. I can stay very, very safe. And so somebody who rallies my chutzpah to get out of my comfort zone and to be the better version of myself.
That's interesting. I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And somebody who really likes to take trips.
Well, that is definitely, like, if my husband doesn't agree on my destination spot, you know where we're going for our bestie trip. Let's just be honest.
You just pack me in the bag. I'll go.
That's funny.
That's
well, I
funny.
like that. Okay, last compilation because we self-regard, optimism, interpersonal relationships, and the last one, self-actualization.
Mm-hmm.
Are there areas
Oh, no. This is going to be loaded,
in your
isn't it?
work or personal life that you would like to further develop? I've asked you this recently, and you gave me a kind of a, like, I was like, oh, that's your answer. I'm not going to, then I felt so bad at judging your answer of, like, what your dream was. And I was like, really? And what it was, she wanted to open a bookstore, people. Like,
that is my dream. What did you?
that is so boring.
Okay, they both just watched you judge my dream. Like, we are talking about
your best friend. I'm the one that's supposed to motivate you in life.
We are
So I'm
talking
allowed, like, let's raise the bar a little bit.
What?
A bookstore? A bookstore.
Oh my. Okay, so everybody in the room, we're talking about optimism and self-actualization, and that aligns with your happiness. And mine is opening a bookstore, and she's like, bland, boo, wah wah wah. Okay, Eeyore. Although that is a donkey.
There you go.
You're my
Eeyore can sit in
donkey.
the back.
You're my donkey. You're my. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so I don't even remember the question.
In your work or personal life, where would you like to further develop? Work or personal life? I always choose work, but
No.
you tend to choose more fun.
We're not
personal
working
things.
right now, so I don't want to talk about work.
And you can't pick goat farm or bookstore. Pick like a
Every
area.
You are so bossy.
Well, we only have 3 minutes.
Okay, sorry. But you're telling me what I can't say.
I mean, it says what area. I'm trying to just ask you the question.
Oh, I'm looking at my sheet like I can see the question. What area?
Mhm.
Can I have a donkey farm?
Sure. So we want to do goat yoga place,
Yeah.
a donkey farm, a bookstore.
I want no, hold on. I want a miniature farm.
Oh,
I want all miniature
that's
animals.
fun. I'll come visit
Like,
that. I won't come
people
visit your
can see
bookstore,
me, they're
but
like, you don't look like a farmer. You don't look like. I would love to own a ranch, like a cattle ranch. How cool would that be?
that would be very cool. Yes, I like
what were
that
you gonna
idea.
say? Oh, you love that idea.
I do. Well, I
Yes.
don't really want cattle. I want professional bulls for the bull riding PBR circuit.
Well, there. Okay. We are all over the map.
We
today.
are
like
today.
Our rabbit
but
trails.
this is
are
but
everywhere.
the secret of happiness, our happy places
That's
are
true.
all of these places that we're
That's
listing.
true.
So that's really why.
But I have always wanted to open a bookstore. Now, don't think Barnes and Noble. I want to open a bookstore in a mountain town,
Mm-hmm.
a certain mountain town that I won't name. But I want to open a bookstore that is multi-level, but it's going to be full of rugs and lamps, and it's going to be a lot of wood, and it's going to be tons of chairs. And then upstairs, there is a place where you can do like tapas, or you can have maybe a cocktail or coffee, but
people
you
hang
can
out.
carry it into the bookstore. And there will be servers that will just kind of meander around the bookstore. So while you're
Fun.
sitting there reading a book, and you're not obligated to purchase the book. Although if it's my bookstore, I would hope that you would purchase a book. But
Sounds
that's my
funny
pitch
and
for the bookstore
spicy.
I don't even own.
But it's good to have hopes and dreams part of your happiness.
Okay, so
Well,
I totally
good.
went off on
Well,
that. Because
don't
don't like
as
it.
we say goodbye, I like it. I probably won't attend it, but I'll help support you. I'll work there maybe.
I won't attend it. You know what? You're going to be the cashier. Oh, and it will have a really cool cash
Yes,
register.
it will.
Because
So I'll stay there.
that's another
There we go.
part of
But
Okay, that was off
is
the
our
rails.
secret of happiness.
That's the secret to happiness.
It
Open a
is.
bookstore
We were
and a
listing
goat
our
farm.
weird, crazy, happy
We are.
places,
Well,
so
and
it's
we're
okay.
Weird and crazy today.
Before we go to where to find us and how our
Yeah.
platforms are going, did you have any Throwback Thursday items for today? Which is another great part of Thursday, by the way.
She
that I
only
love.
teased me up when she has one.
I do. I totally have one.
Shannon, why don't you tell us what your Throwback Thursday is?
Well, mine, I'm a child of the 80s and 90s. So in high school, I loved Boys to Men.
Oh my
as a
gosh,
band.
yes.
Oh my gosh. So last Friday night, my husband and I totally just like had them on all night, like just their albums that we, way back from way back when.
CDs.
And
their
I was
CDs.
watching the CMT Artist of the Year Awards last night, and they had Boys to Men performing a Chris Stapleton song,
What?
Cold, and it was awesome.
There was a CMT
There
awards
was.
last night?
So
Dang, I
you should
missed
all
it.
go to YouTube and see it because it was flat out
I'm gonna
awesome.
pull
So
that up on
Boys to
YouTube.
Men is my Throwback Thursday because I love them.
Well,
So.
hashtag TBT.
TBT. So So, April, before we close out, I know
always-
people need to find us, and
Yes, they do.
Our platforms are doing awesome. Thank you to our Cumulus team because they help with that.
Yes, thank you, listeners.
And so, thank you,
as well.
listeners, for subscribing. So, how can they subscribe?
Well, they can follow us on Instagram, Copy Talk Podcast. They can go to our website, copytalkpodcast.com. Resources and links. We're going to add that book to it today. You can also leave us comments, ask questions. And then, of course, your favorite and mine is you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's
And
the
ring
best
the
ding I ever
bell.
did.
Good
And
job.
ring the
You're
bell.
learning how
Yeah.
to. Yep.
I know.
I like it. Yes. So join us on our YouTube community. Join the Copy Talk community. It's a fun place to be.
Yeah.
And we will see you next
week.
Thanks for joining.
Thanks, everybody.
This is intended for informational purposes only and not to be used as a primary basis for investment decisions. Consult your financial professional before making investment decisions. Shannon Ross is a registered representative and MBA of Lighthouse Financial. Lighthouse Financial offers securities and advisory services through Cambridge Investment Research Advisories Incorporated, member FINRA and SIPC. Shannon is CEO and managing financial partner of Lighthouse Financial. Cambridge and Lighthouse Financial are not affiliated.